everybody. Today is Friday, May 25th, 2018. It's MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am George. Wait. Apparently he's George today.
Yeah.
All right, I'm George. He's Goes. That's Dan. That's Danny, laughing his ass off.
It was funny.
It was funny. I enjoyed it.
How's everybody today?
You know, good.
Pretty good. It's a really nice day outside. I can't wait to go out and enjoy it.
Do you need it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can keep it plugged in.
What are you going to do, Danny? A carriage to Central Park like you and I did?
You guys did a carriage?
George, if you were here, 110% I'd do that again. It's a beautiful day to do that.
Goes, how does it start? Yeah, you didn't know that? We took a carriage.
Just the two of you? Like Kramer's carriage?
No, and our cousin
Was it
Richard.
eating beefaroni?
I know we were a little short on time. We were going to do something, so we had about an hour. Once again, I was getting a lot of grief from people that just don't seem to mind their business. Like, why are you walking a carriage? Why don't you walk it and enjoy it?
There it is.
Well, for one, we were short on time. And
people in New York were telling you that?
No. Junkie Nation.
Well, how would they know?
You posted, hey, I'm here with Danny and Richard. And they're like, why aren't you walking? Nobody can go, well, that's cool of you three to get together. You know, and I get it once in a while, but fuck, man. Never ending. So, we were short on time. We wanted to cover as much as we could because it's a big park.
Mm.
Yeah, it is.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMajunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMajunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMajunkie Radio revolution is upon us. Can you dig it? There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMajunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMajunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMajunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMajunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me as always is the devious and dastardly Goes. Ari's co-host to my left, the fight analyst, Dan Tom, back east. Handling the producing duties, Danny Otto. It's Friday.
Finally.
Yes. You stoked?
Yeah.
Stoked because there's fights or because it's Friday?
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fights are Sunday, just so you all know. Got to repeat it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
The fights are Sunday.
Also, so you know, the fights are technically right now as well. Bellator 200. They're happening right now. On this show, we are not going to talk about them. We'll give you guys the opportunity to talk about it on Monday, or to watch it tonight, and then watch or talk about it on Monday's show. I think it's fair, right?
I like that game plan.
I think so. Yeah.
Right?
If something epic happens, though, I
mean, something crazy would have to happen.
Right. Yeah, Bellator 200 taking place right now in London, England. And our man, Shamat Karsdandu's there. Sunday night, they're in Liverpool for UFC Fight Night 130. Our guy, John Morgan's there. You guys got a parlay for this weekend?
No. I was actually looking at it last night. I'm staying away from the main event. The main event is crazy.
Darren Till's now the favorite.
Yeah.
I think that's just...
I just didn't feel great about anything, really.
Yeah, I'm still I'm still putting together that article, which everything's probably going to drop at the same time because my main card got pushed back. I don't know if you guys heard, but Davey Grant and Manny Bermudez got dropped from the main card. Staph infection on Davey Grant's end.
Okay.
So, and of course, your boy here. That's 2 for 2 for your boy. I already wrote that one, so I had to throw that in the trash.
Eric Anders?
And for this boy. Oh. So yeah, but I guess what's getting moved to the main card instead though is Claudio Silva and Nordine Taleb. Nordine Taleb, the price is inflating, but I could see him being parlay fodder. Kind of an answer to your question, George. He's facing a guy Claudio Silva who hasn't been fighting. He hasn't fought in 4 years. You know, that's always a flag unless you're like an outlier, like a George St. Pierre, right? So you know that's one that. Clearly, the public's marking as their parlay piece.
Caleb?
Yeah. Pedersoli's an Italian guy coming in to fight Brad Scott. He's fighting on short notice, but this guy's really impressive, man. If you saw him in Cage Warriors, he fought Nicholas Dalby, a UFC vet, recently. Talented southpaw Italian who can wrestle. Looks like he can grapple a bit against Bradley Scott. Tom Breeze, obviously, the public's real big on him.
Wait. Oh. You like Pedersoli then?
Yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be a play on him yet. I gotta finish some study on him, but I've seen him fight before this, before his debut, and I liked what I saw. So
do you like what you see out of Bradley Scott?
It's tough. He's a guy that goes in there and goes to war, but he's one of those guys. He's serviceable everywhere, but he doesn't shine in any particular area. He's also talked about stepping away. He has kind of done these little brief hiatuses before. He's done camp changes. He's done multiple weight changes. He's did the 170 with Robert Whitaker, the tough, went back up to 185. Now he's back down to 170. And we've seen it before. We've seen guys kind of they start exercising their options and looking for other answers. And if it doesn't produce results, you can only keep doing that for so long, right? And so I think that's maybe where the public may be fading him by taking a UFC debutant on short notice over a guy who, just by name value, is a veteran in Bradley Scott. So that's probably why that number is the way it is.
What about Knight and Amir Akhani?
Ooh, this one I'm writing up right now. I like this one a lot because it's tough because Jason Knight's another guy who's inconsistent, but in a different way because he can hold with guys at the top level, or he can kind of fold. Now, it was a really bad loss to Ricardo Lamas, but Ricardo Lamas is a really good fighter, right?
Right.
But then he goes and has a really bad performance against Gabriel Benitez. Now, if you've been listening to me, or especially on my Protect Your Neck podcast, I'm real high on the tough Latin American series. Everybody talks about Yair Rodriguez, all these other guys. No, Gabriel Benitez is the guy that always impressed me the most. Javier Mendez says he kicks harder than Luke Rockhold. This guy's a 145er, southpaw. But he can counter wrestle. He's got a really good guillotine, and he was defending the shots, and even was mounting Jason Knight, who's a really good grappler. I mean, Jason Knight wasn't that long ago. He was dominating Daniel Hooker, and look at Dan Hooker just running a terror up a division.
He uses a real nice rubber guard, right? Knight.
He's Hick Diaz.
Yeah, but he's gotten away from that. So is a lot of guys. And I'm nothing against rubber guard. I'm a fan of Eddie Bravo, 10th Planet, or Casey Halstead out here runs a great 10th Planet gym. Nothing against their system, but in higher level MMA, we've only seen it really produce stalls more than submissions, I think. So even
it's more of a tie-up.
Right. Yeah. So even guys within the 10th Planet system, like Casey Halstead, you see him in a lot of corners. He's one of the more popular guys from that system because he's actually more of a top player. 10th Planet gets stereotyped with the pigeonhole with the rubber guard, but really in high level MMA, just in my opinion, and I think the results speak for it. If I were to ask you guys, hey, was a rubber guard submission that worked? Rubber guard submission that worked? Rubber guard. And we've all watched how many fights, and we'd be like, was that from a rubber guard? I don't think that was from a rubber, right? I mean, I'm not being rude. I'm not picking on them. But if he does go to that, I think that's going to be bad because Amir Akhani is a really good grappler. I think it was Swedish national team for wrestling and Greco-Roman, but just was real dangerous, is like we see with Michael Chandler. It's not just wrestlers that get in MMA. We all know that stereotype. But it's a wrestler that's not afraid to put these hooks in, not afraid to transition and go for submissions, right? And those guys are really dangerous. We saw Chandler submit a guy like Eddie Alvarez because he wasn't afraid to, put his hooks in and commit on those positions. That's Amir Akhani. He spent the last 6 months dedicating himself to boxing because he came up short to a split decision loss against Arnold Allen, who's also on the card. Last year.
Amir Akhani or Knight?
Yeah, Amir Akhani was because he came up short, and he's also working with SBG for his second camp now. Staying in John Kavanaugh's backyard, apparently. and seems really focused in for this fight. So Murakami is actually a dog right now, and I'll tip my hand here on the show. I'm actually going to be picking him.
Really?
He's a dog that I'm going to be picking.
I might have taken him too, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think just the wrestling, he's going to be coming in with pressure. Regardless of how his boxing looks, it kind of worries me. You don't want a guy to fall in love with his hands, but usually a guy has to get a knockout to fall in love with his hands. We really haven't seen that with Murakami aside from his flying knee debut. Another time he cashes as an underdog, by the way, at that Gustafsson Rumble card back in the day in Sweden. But aside from that, he's a submission guy. So I don't think I think if things start going south with Jason Knight on the feet, I think he's going to wrestle. He's going to be able to survive and stay on top, have the crowd probably on his side there as well. So yeah, it's a close fight, But I'm going to be leaning with the Murakami there. And
this is the last fight, though, for Jason Knight that you're going to get a line like this. I think this line is predicated a lot on people liking him. His Hick Diaz persona.
Yeah.
I think whatever his skill set comes out of here, you're going to get more of an honest line the next time you see him. I think it's the last time you'll get him at that price.
And just one more thing, because I know George loves the dogs, and I think me and George talked about this. I believe it was off air though. Mads Burnell's a dog I like, and I'm actually officially picking him. I changed my pick.
Against the undefeated Arnold Allen, okay.
Undefeated in the UFC, yeah. He has one Cage Warriors loss. It was a close.
Oh, he does?
It was
Okay.
a close. It was a tough
12-1
guy.
or
Polish
something?
Zombie. It was the Polish Zombie split decision lost. But yeah, he's 12-1, undefeated in the UFC. One of the best prospects coming out of England. But Arnold Allen can be a little wild and get into grappling exchanges.
Okay. The red zapped out.
Okay. Oh
Yeah.
no, we're good. That was number 2.
You gotta flip it on the thing.
There we go. Cool. All right.
Okay.
I wanted to say our guy Showtime hasn't been calling in much, and he posted something on Facebook. Man, so sad about the loss of his son,
Yeah.
He's posted pictures of him and his grandkids, and I know he's going to have a role there. I'm not sure if he immediately will raise them or will assist in raising them, but just want to let him know that a lot of us are still thinking about you. But he had a post that just broke my heart yesterday, and I think you go through waves of mourning. And so immediately there's a shock. Some people have to sit down to take news like that, and then at some point you start to deal with it. At some point you don't want to hear from anybody. You cry your eyeballs out, and then you think you're just getting better, and then all of a sudden, there's just these different stages, and it's never gonna go away, But
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance.
for death?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Denial. How do you
Yeah.
deny that though?
This can't be happening.
Gotcha. So that's immediate, because at some point you know that this has happened. Yeah. I wanted to pass on a couple messages that I got. I don't know Showtime's Twitter offhand, but I know he's got one. But Drew Jitsu at Hip Hop since '76.
Yeah.
He says, "Y'all got Showtime's Twitter. Just heard him on the show. I want to send my condolences." I actually held on to a few of these messages because I just wanted to pass them on to him. So he sent me that on May 16th. I looked for Showtime's Twitter real fast. I couldn't find it, and I think this was me as I was sitting in the parking lot before I came in. And then Ben Webster said, "Hey Showtime, I just heard about you losing your kid. I'm sorry for your loss. You're in my thoughts and prayers, buddy." So I wanted to pass that on. I think Ben Webster is
New York, Ben, is it? Ben from New York?
Ben from New York, yeah.
I'm glad you hung on to that, George. I saw that too. Shout out to Drew, by the way. He's always giving us shouts on Twitter, at MMajunkie Radio. Thanks, Drew. But I couldn't find anything either, so I thought I'd let you guys weigh in, and if you don't keep up on this stuff, you can get lost in the shuffle. So good ups on you, George, for
Thank
saving
you, sir.
that.
There's another one from Austin Young 77 on Instagram. He private messaged me. He says, "Hi Gigi, Random Aussie here. I've called in 4 times in 8 years, but consider myself a junkie, as I've never missed an episode in 8 years. I was genuinely upset to hear of Showtime's loss. If it's appropriate, please pass on my condolences and let him know on the other side of the world, in the future, people are thinking of him. And good luck with your read, Austin Young."
That's cool.
Yeah, so somebody from Australia passing that on as well. Showtime's Twitter Thank you to Tony from San Francisco. Is just at Ramundo. I thought I typed that in. I may have gone RAMUND. I don't know. I did it so fast. But thank you, Tony. At Ramundo, and that's at RUMUNDO. That's Showtime from Tennessee. Who, if you haven't heard, he lost his child. Well, grown man. You know, his boy, 25 years of age, I believe, in an unexpected, tragic death that he had, I guess, 2 weeks ago. Prior to that, he had actually told us about how proud he was of his son who had a business, and then this happened a few days later. So that's why you probably haven't heard from him in a while. But you know, he's a strong man himself, and I know that he will overcome this. It's just something we all have to deal with at some point. But what's rare is parent burying their child. That one's a tough one for a lot of people. All right. Also, do not forget, tonight is the Bipolar Rock and Roller on Showtime.
That's right.
It's 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have DirecTV, you can catch it at 6. Otherwise, if you have cable, you probably have to wait till 9 p.m. And that's fine. Do that. I guarantee you, man, it'll be worth it. Watch it from start to end. And
It's
watch
gonna be
how
different
much
for us, too.
Morrow opens up himself to his fans or to people that just know him through the business. I thought it was just a well-done documentary, and you're going to hear from Frank Shamrock and Boss Rudin, and Triple H also makes an appearance. And it's heartbreaking at times, but at the same time, you kind of go through this ride of seeing him grow, you know, from a boy to a man to a young man to. And so you'll have a big smile on your face as well, because you're going to just put together these pieces of everything you've kind of heard over the years from whether he's been on this show or other shows or whatever. A lot of people know that he got to start as a pro wrestling manager at age 16, and so you're going to get to see some of that footage. So it's really, really cool, and I can't say enough. Just watch it or tape it and watch it at some point this weekend.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to tape it. And I mean, it was rough. It really
Why are you
was.
saying it's going to be different? We got a different cut? I thought we got
They
final cut.
no. Well, it's probably like 95%. They're
Okay.
still doing a few things here and there. And
Yeah.
But so it'll look and sound a little bit different for us too.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. It especially like even you guys seen him so many times on this show. You know what he can be like on the air, what he can be like off the air, and it can be rough sometimes. But it's definitely very important, I think, to watch it.
I remember clearly this show that we did where he sat with us and we gave him a beat and he started rapping. And all we had to do was in the middle of it just throw out a name, and his next few lyrics would basically have to do with whoever. We were basically throwing out people, not things or whatever.
Right.
So as he was saying stuff, we'd say Fedor, and then he'd switch to Fedor, and he'd just start dropping rhymes on Fedor, and then we'd say Boss Rude, you know, quick, and he did it. It was awesome, wasn't it?
I think I have a video.
You could
of
tell,
it.
like, wow, like imagine having that hard drive above your neck to be able to transition like that.
Inspiring.
I mean, I'm in awe sometimes of that older show. Sometimes they catch a rerun of the well, the Impractical Jokers are pretty genius as well, because
Whose Line Is It Anyway?
improvisation skill. Yeah, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Because they would walk up, the lady would play some sort of a beat and a tune, and then whatever time they had from the moment they said, this is the theme, I need Wayne or Greg or whoever to stand up and do it, they had enough time to think of their rhymes, and they were usually pretty spot on, you know, and so that's talent. You got to recognize that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Morrow, we were just dropping it to him like immediately. You know, he had no time to think. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, man. Coming from acting, seeing someone that can just improv like that, and you realize how depth the skill of talent for that guy really goes. You know, like wow, how far does it go? It's deep, and it's inspiring. Inspiring.
I'll play this. This is what he said about Kevin Randleman.
Okay.
The Brazilian bomber, the one, the only, Vanderlei Silva. He's going to give you a thriller, but you know when Fedor comes through the door, you're going to get a little bit of action, just a little bit more, because it's Friday. Don't call it a high day, just call it my day, because we're about to celebrate Kevin the Monster Randleman. He was the man action, and you will understand. It's called the Randoplex. He'd like to flex his pecs, and just once in a while, he'd be talking the talk and walking the walk. Because when you were strutting, strolling, rocking, and rolling, Kevin Randleman, rest in power, too sweet to be sour. And we will be seeing you one day again in the Pride Fighting Championships ring in the sky. Sayonara, Ichiban, hi!
Buzz all on the fly.
That's Boss giggling at the end because even he's in awe. We're sitting there just like, wow, you know. Now look, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, he's done this many times. He's so well prepared with the things he does, the things he thinks of. I'm sure there's a mesh from something like 2 years ago to something he was working on to something he may have just done on the previous show. But still, his ability to throw that together, because they were here because Kevin Randleman had just passed away. That's why they were in town at that time. And so he managed to talk about whatever other topic we were on, Vanderlei Silva or whatever, and tie it into their reason for being here with Kevin Randleman. So it's not like you think about what kind of rhymes am I gonna have if a friend of mine dies or somebody I covered died. So it's simply amazing to me.
Do you think I can play the audio of this? Because he doesn't really say anything bad, but he does say a nice thing about Junkie Nation.
You want to hear a funny story?
Huh.
I put that. You know the reason the mask is there? I put it on, right? And so I was here. This was after you left, Dan. I was hanging out with Gilbert Melendez's dad, and when we came back, or was it? No, maybe it was even before we left. Yeah. And Natalie, our sweetheart of a waitress, favorite waitress that we have here, her and Zari, she was bouncing around tending to some people, but I noticed she was standing there drifting off that way. So she says, I stare at your guys' mugs all the time because we have these cutouts there. What are those called? Fatheads? Fatheads. And so for some reason, I was just bored. I was waiting for Gil's dad. I think he went to take a leak. So I was just waiting, and so I grabbed the head and the mouse head, put it on, and then went over there and just stood there. Now, it required me standing there for about 2 minutes, and it's hot in there, right? But I stood there because I figured the payoff might be good. So she's standing there. She kind of tucked around the corner, and then I saw her start to move, and she came back, and she goes, ah! Like that. Literally one of those.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was genuine. You know what I mean? Like, she literally jumped.
Nice.
And she, kind of like her heart fluttered, I guess. And, and so I'm standing there just not moving, and she's like, you got me, you weirdo, or something like that. And so finally I took it off, and we were laughing. And so then I tried to get Gil's dad because he had gone to the restroom. So I was doing the timing so that I could pop up. But it didn't scare him.
No?
It didn't appear to.
Scared me. He just kind of me.
He just kind of like punched me a little, like, ah, ha, ha, that's a good one.
Like,
you know?
give you a body shot like his son.
No, just nothing too bad, you know. But I don't know. It's hard to see inside if I timed it right, but yeah. Yeah, I think I don't think that's a big deal, right? Or I don't remember.
The audio isn't, right? It's just the context of the night, I guess, really, but
I don't think it's a problem.
All right. This is
3 a.m., right?
This is 3 a.m. and we're talking about, I guess, Deadmau5. Kanye West tried to get him to play his daughter's birthday or something like that, and this is what he's talking about.
Yo, Kanye West, I would love to do your daughter's birthday, but I've got other things to do today. I'm not just a Deadmau5, I'm Mighty Mouse, and I'm on MMA Junkie Radio and a part of MMA Junkie Nation.
But to see Morrow in a mouse head's just it's pretty funny at 3 a.m. when we're all buzzing and things are just funnier. But of course at the end there's a that little slap sound you hear that I guess that's really the funny part. But anyway, tonight again the Bipolar Rock and Roller on Showtime at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check it out, or at least make sure you tape it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna dig it a lot, and it brings a lot of awareness to mental illnesses out there, like those that are bipolar. Plus, you're just going to learn a lot about Mauro Ranallo. We also did quite a few pieces on MMA Junkie. I imagine if you just type in Mauro Ranallo, MMA Junkie, even one with MMA Junkie Radio, because he was on our show, there's like 3 or 4 pieces that the staff did throughout the last few weeks. And each one of them touched on different topics, different subjects, like his call of a fight that usually ends in Mamma Mia is a tribute to his mom. And
she's in the
mom
thing as well.
Right. She is also makes an appearance. The mom and the dad, his 2 brothers, they make an appearance in the documentary goes. Do you remember Morrow? I wouldn't say he was smitten, but he always had a soft spot for Jenny. Remember when she was here with us? And when you saw that his ex-girlfriend was a Jenny, did you think of that? Because I remember when he met Jenny, he would say stuff towards Jenny, but somehow he referenced the name. And so you could tell that at some point it probably was like, "Hi, you're Jenny. I know you're with Ghost."
Oh yeah, he would sing
blah,
her
blah,
songs.
blah. Right.
Oh, okay.
But
maybe.
I think it was it probably invoked memories of what appears to be one of his sweethearts, that he had. He doesn't open up his personal life too much, but that's a girlfriend that you'll get to see in the documentary. And for some reason I was connecting dots there and thought not that obviously Jenny wasn't a sweetheart and she had a beautiful smile. Anybody that ever talked to her, I guess, just always wanted to give her a hug and whatever. But Morrow, for some reason, he played around with the name Jenny a little bit, and
he would walk in and sing her songs.
Right, and I think I tied that into what I saw, and
that
I go,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she saw that too. By the way, she started crying some of the coverage that we had.
Jenny?
Yeah.
You showed her?
No, she just texted me one day and she goes, "Hey, I caught some of the stuff that you guys did with Morrow." I was crying.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, because Morrow, aside from this past, that was 2 years ago with Kevin Randleman, but aside from that, we had some good sit-ins over at MGM and here and on the show, and really, really have had some good times where he's opened up a lot. But I consider him a friend, and to know that I figured he was battling a mental illness. I get that. I just didn't know that it was almost what could be all hours of every day when he's having a bad stretch. Or it could be that there's a week or a month where he's just great, and that's probably something we could expand on and ask him. But I'm going to assume that this could be as bad as every hour of every day, where he's battling himself.
Well, I think the important part, and Morrow would agree, is that it's bringing awareness to that anybody in your life, just whether you're aware they have something or not, whether they're aware they have something or not, to open up a conversation, a dialogue. Something Morrow said, and I think it was really great. Referencing the content we have in Junkie is a really good sit down with John Morgan, where he says to John, and it's another reason why I love Morrow and feel like I just identify with him on so many levels, is something that I've always said, and when I've struggled with, where I feel like even with close friends throughout my life, where you say, "Hi, how are you?" No one really wants to. They're just saying it out of habit. Nobody really wants to know how you are, and when you really want to know how someone is, it's not what you'd expect. And I think that's what kind of this documentary encapsulates. And I really resonated with Morrow saying that in the sit down with. I hope you all go check it out with John Morgan. And yeah, if I wasn't so crazy busy, I probably would have hijacked that screener from you guys. But I'm thinking about it now. I don't even know if my channels include Showtime, so I may have to grab that from one of you guys for this weekend, because that's something that's I am making time for, even my crazy butt, because it's important. And coming from you guys and the things you said about it, especially someone who taste I respect is from documentaries otherwise, and then yeah, I really excited to check this out, guys.
Cool, you'll dig it. Let me know. I can definitely forward that to you. All right, so let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Jack May. Jack May will be fighting Josh Copeland at PFL 1. It's the Professional Fighters League. Their regular season is going to be starting, and it's coming up here on June 7th. Yeah, that's right. They're doing it on Thursdays. So they will start with regular season, and eventually they'll get to playoffs. And remember, the winner of the playoffs will receive $1 million. So we'll talk to Jack about that when we come back. Again, it's MMA Junkie Radio on a Friday, May 25th. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, B-A, start. He told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
Right now, through May 29th, you can listen to SiriusXM for free in the car and on the SiriusXM app and online. Just download our app or go to SiriusXM.com to listen to your favorite channels. While you're there, get a sneak peek of Howard Stern Radio. All right, we have 3 guests coming your way, starting things off with Jack May, followed by Brian Stann, and then we'll finish up with Bilal Mohammed. Jack May will be fighting Josh Copeland at PFL 1. The Professional Fighters League is beginning their regular season coming up here in a few weeks, and they will go through a series of fight cards that will eventually lead them towards the playoffs. And remember, the winner of the 6 different weight classes will get $1 million. Joining us now on the hotline is Jack May. What's up, Jack? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, my man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. It's been a while, but we've had you on the show before. It's good speaking with you, and I imagine right now you're putting in, they call it, the hay in the barn, so I imagine that barn's pretty full, right? You're starting to wrap up your camp?
I'll tell you what, I can't wait for camp to be over and get this fight fucking going. Camp's been good, man. Camp's been good. Camp's been hard, but, it's time to eat, so I'm chomping at the bit, just trying to finish up camp to stay healthy, fine-tune the loose ends, and get ready to rock and roll.
So what's been the worst part of camp? Has it been like wrestling? Has it been the diet? Has it been strength and conditioning?
I would say the worst part of camp, man, just being sore. We've been doing some pretty extensive work. Man, just the daily grind, being worn out, being tired, and having another workout to finish the day. For me, I had a little bit of a layoff, so I was chomping at the bit to try and to get back into the cage and jump back into camp. So I've relished it. I've looked forward to it. Dreamt about it, waited for it, and it's here. So It's all good for me.
Jack, for us, today's the last show of our week. We get the weekend off. Granted, we'll be watching some fights this weekend, so it is work.
Right.
But how about for you? Do you get the weekend off, or one of the 2 days at least on the weekend off?
So Sunday we'll do rest and recovery. I'll probably be at the Korean spa, cold bath, hot tub, do that whole thing, get a massage. Saturday we do track work, and then right after the track workout we go straight back to the gym. And we do between 5 and 10 5-minute rounds, a lot of drilling, and then pads and some sparring. Today, active recovery, so I'll run between 5 and 8 miles, and that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And Jack's a big boy, man. You're like 6'8", right?
6'8". I just got on the scale last night. I'm at 260. So
there you go.
We're good.
5'8" miles for a dude that's 6'8", man. That's he's putting in some work right there. Jack May, our guest.
We've been doing a lot of the road work, man. A lot of the I'm with Colin Oyama, Team Oyama. I've never trained like I have for this camp. My agent Jason House set me up with Coach Oyama. Like I told him, I thought I was doing enough and doing it right this whole time, and he's opened my eyes to what I should have been doing. So, a lot of road work, a lot of we get tired, we do the track work out before we go back and do sparring. So I'm tired doing sparring already. It's just a different aspect of training that I've never done before.
Do you ever do sprints or a hill, or is it just maybe long-distance road work like what you just described to us?
No, I'll tell you what, we do it twice a week. They got me on that incline. It's killer. I wanted to punch someone in the face the other day, you know what I mean? I had to do 30 incline hill sprints, and you want to quit, but you know what's at stake. So there is no quit, but you look at your coach and you're like, fuck you, look, thanks for making me do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. That's great that you're pushing yourself past previous limits. This is a huge fight for you. Like I said, the stakes are really high, throughout this regular season and eventually into the playoffs and then eventually getting to $1 million. And you guys are getting paid along the way. I really like what the Professional Fighters League is doing, and I can't wait for the first show, and I can't wait to see how the whole season plays out.
Yeah, I'm excited too. They've put a format together that's exciting. It can be lucrative for fighters. You just got to win and take care of business. Yeah. Pretty much, it's in your own hands. So I look forward to it.
Jack May is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He'll be fighting Josh Copeland at PFL 1 on June 7th. NBC Sports will take care of it for you. That's where you can tune in, and on Facebook. Check your cable and satellite listings. To find NBC Sports, I'll give you a quick hint. If you have DirecTV like Goes and I, it's channel 220. All right, Jack can be followed on Twitter at JackMay_MMA. Let me turn it over to the co-hosts here. Goes, what do you have for Jack May?
Jack, as you mentioned earlier, you're coming off a little bit of a layoff, and now you're going to really bump things up here with fight after fight. That recipe to figure out what's going to work and what adjustments have to make, is that something that you've already kind of got dialed in, or do you think it's going to be a little bit of a little bit of a trial as you're going through it?
I think with the format that they have played out, you have to factor in injuries and suspensions and stuff. So I think training hard and training smart, obviously limiting the injuries during training camp. And then, just putting everything into God's hands and going out there and doing what you're supposed to do. I don't want to hold back during my fights, to try and play things safe so I don't injure myself. I'm not that type of fighter. I go out there and I put on the line and I try and finish guys. But I think at the end of the day, you need to stay healthy in order to continue on with this format. But I also think that, guys, we're heavyweights. Guys are going to get knocked out. Guys are going to get hurt. So suspensions and all that stuff are going to play a big factor into this. Who moves on? Are you able to move on? So on and so forth. So, we've thought about this process. We've sat down and we've talked about it. So we're informed. We're good to go.
Jack, you're about to be a part of something that's really special for mixed martial artists. The big payout, all that stuff. Are you the type of guy that takes the moment to soak it all in, or is that something that you just got to wait till it's done before you can do it?
No, I think, you have to have a goal at the end of it, and the goal at the end of it is to be the champion. That's why, I signed with his organization. I like the format. Like any other professional sport, MLB, NBA, NFL, they have this format. You know what I mean? You have a regular season, you get your seed going into the playoffs, and then you win and you advance. You lose, you're out. This is not a team sport, you know what I mean? I do have a team behind me. I do have a coach behind me. They do help me prepare and stuff, but it's me that gets in that cage and has to put it all together on fight night. I relish that. I like that. I play team sports. I hate it depending on, the guy to the left and right of you. So this is just, it comes down to you.
Jack May, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me turn it over to our fight analyst, Dan Tom. What do you have for Jack?
Hey, Jack, I'm glad to hear you talk about the strategies as far as the intangibles in a tournament, because I think, PFL obviously put together a great league together, but, when you look at the heavyweight division that they put together, I feel like guys with that veteran experience, that savvy, and not just that, you look at your record, you have a lot of finishes. You think that's going to play a lot as well? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, the regular season, making that playoff, it's not just so much winning, but it's also how you win, correct?
Right, yeah. So off of the point system, it's, win and lose and draw, and then how you win, which round you win in. You also get points for that as well. So, I guess you don't want to be boring, because you're only going to get the 3 points. You kind of want to be, you want to take care of business and finish guys to capitalize on the points. And then you also got to factor in, if there's 12 heavyweights that they signed, there's only 8 slots for the tournament. So, you need to get you need to set yourself up for the best option possible. You get that first seeding, then obviously you're going to get the 8th seeding guy to fight. So all of this, it's just incentive. You know what I mean? It just gives you more of a reason to get to that $1 million. You need to get in there and you need to take care of business. My style is I get in there and I get out. You know what I mean? I don't want to go 15 minutes.
Right.
If I have to go 15 minutes, I think we've trained for that now. But somewhere along the line, I'm looking for that finish.
Right, and not to look too far ahead, you got Josh Copeland ahead of you. Now, George was commenting for people not familiar with Jack May, whether through Titan or UFC or the other places you fought. Obviously an imposing character. I wouldn't want to run into him in the back of an alley. But you could almost dangerously stereotype a casual, of course, not yourself, Jack, but someone could stereotype Josh Copeland. But if you look at Josh Copeland's record, he's only really lost to quality guys. So, Jack, how do you break down a guy like Josh Copeland?
I think we have a pretty similar. I've only lost to quality guys as well. The 3 guys that I've lost to, in the UFC. Derek Lewis, top 5. Sean Jordan, who's now in the PFL, was a tough fight. I don't even want to mention the other dickhead's name because I don't have much respect for him. But he's doing his thing in the UFC. Josh Copeland, I think is a very tough fight. I think that, the guy's a stand-up guy. I was able to meet him at the PFL Summit. He's got a lot of wins. His losses are to tough opponents. And he likes to stand and he likes to get it on. So, for me, it's a match made in heaven,
Can't wait to see it. Thanks for the time, Jack May. And you're right. Josh Copeland is a quality opponent. This is an incredible regular season matchup between you two. So I think this is really, really going to... whoever's watching this is going to be able to see one of the higher seeds move on is what I'm trying to say, because I think both of you guys are quality heavyweights, and I can't wait for this thing to get going on June 7th. So thank you, sir, for the time, and good luck with the rest of that camp. Sounds like you're putting in some hard work, man. Much respect, but I think the payoff's going to be great. So again, thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on June 7th.
All right, you guys do the same. Thank you.
All right, take care. See you. All right, folks, that's Jack May. Follow him on Twitter, @JackMay_MMA. Big shout-out to Ed Cat for lining that one up. We're going to take our second break of the first hour. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They were forged from the same ball sack, but act as though they've never met. They are the brothers Garcia, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Barstool Radio is bringing their own original flavor to sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week, such as the NBA and NHL playoffs, the latest celebrity gossip, and much more. Enjoy refreshing content that is by the common man, for the common man. Barstool Radio on Power 85 and anytime on demand with the SiriusXM app. Is this today a West Coast Hip Hop Friday?
It's Black Friday, so I picked Ice Cube, and I don't know who Danny took.
Okay.
Like it?
Yeah, so far so good. Let's talk to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, dudes?
Marco.
Not much. How about you?
So, for my next Showtime, and my heart goes to him, but to show you the strength of character of this dude, he spent 2 hours with the AM radio guys yesterday, myself, Tony, Proteus, and Apam, and did 2 hours of just talking about MMA, making the picks for the weekend, talking about the news about, what is going on the world of MMA. And he didn't miss a beat. He laughed with us. So, Showtime, you're the man. I love you, man. And my heart is with you right now. This weekend, I got my little parlay. So, don't give me no spoilers from freaking Bellator, because I'm going to include that. Give me Michael Mero Page. I'm going to pick the answer with Carvalho over Musashi. I'm thinking Carvalho, man. 15-5 winning streak. Give me Jason Knight, Neil Magny, and the underdog, Darren Till, over there, Wonderboy Thompson. Enjoy the fight this weekend, guys. Peace out.
Wait. You want Till, Magny, who else?
Carvalho.
And Page.
Carvalho.
And Jason the Kid Nye, Kick Diaz.
So there's 4, right?
5.
Five.
Oh, 5 with Magny, that's right. I actually wrote down a Marco parlay one time. I don't know why. I like the guy, so he's a loyal listener, caller of the show, and I actually found it. It says Felder, Chiesa, Moicano, Rose, and Max. So that was obviously before UFC 223, right?
223. Yeah.
So the Max fight fell out. Rose won. Moicano won, right?
Yeah.
That night. Moicano, by the way, is slated to fight Cub Swanson
Good
at
fight.
UFC 227 on August 4th in LA. That's recently been announced.
No breaks for Cub ever.
And then it said Chiesa, and the Chiesa fight fell through, and Felder, and the Felder fight fell through because Iaquinta fought. Yeah. So he actually went 2-0. But there you have it. I mean, there's been times when Marco's left us a parlay, and then I come back and shit on him if he lost it, but I got to give him props. That one went 2-0, but I did write it down. So, cool stuff, Marco. And thank you for sharing those kind words about Showtime. He is a quality person, and I know you guys got to hang out recently, so I definitely know your comments came from your heart.
I appreciate it, guys. You guys are going to sweet, guys.
Take care. We'll see
Easy.
you. All right, 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. We have pockets. Right now we have about 6 minutes before the end of the hour. We will be talking to Brian Stann after that, but when we hang up with him, we'll have some time, and then we'll finish up with Bilal Mohammed, who, hats off to Bilal Mohammed. He'll be fighting on June 1st in Utica, New York, and he is a Muslim who is training through Ramadan.
Yep.
How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Ramadan's been in effect for about a week and a half, I believe. So by the time his camp is over, you could probably say 50% of the camp was done during Ramadan.
I want to say
so much respect.
The 4th time he's done that.
Yeah, his debut against Alan Joban was like that at that triple weekend. They opened up the main card. That was a fun fight, man. That was a fun fight.
You guys want my update on Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So not last night. The night before, I found a flight that I thought made sense, even for a Po Joe GG, right? And
Are you times 2?
no, just me.
Just you. Okay.
Yeah. So after Uncle Juan's 90th birthday, Juliet was gonna drive me to the airport, and I was gonna leave on a flight that left around midnight. And
What? Out
of LAX.
Oh, that's on Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Okay.
I was going to land Friday in Chicago somewhere around 6 a.m. And then pray that I could Uber over and they'd have a room for me for Friday night, right? There's Mr. Melendez.
Hey, how are you?
All right.
Hi.
How you doing, sir? Did you have a good time in Vegas? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for lunch yesterday. It's great to see you guys.
See ya.
All right. So here's what I figured, guys. I was gonna have the room all through Friday. I would even get there early enough to just kind of check out the weigh-in scene. You know how they do it differently now. I haven't been to one of those. Even here in Vegas, I haven't popped in there because we're usually doing the show. But I wanted to check it out, make sure both title fights are good, you know, and because I believe I can still get a credential, I think I'd have access to that. And then my whole afternoon and evening would be free. And then Saturday, I would probably be one of those late checkout guys, 12, maybe push it to 1. But that's it. I was going to hand them my luggage and go room free on Saturday because
That's what I was thinking about doing.
right afterwards is that's when they were going to go to the Cubs game. So whether I join them or not, I don't know. And then after that, straight to the arena. And the arena, if you think about it, West Coast time, we start at 7 and it ends at 10. Over there, they start at 9 and it ends at 12. So after the arena, again, I'll probably go to the post-fight, you know, see that scene or whatever. And since my flight leaves at 6:35, I have to be at the airport at 5:35. But when you're in another city, you kind of want the 90-minute buffer, not the 1-hour buffer. So I got to get there by 5. And I remember O'Hare is a little bit retreated from the city, so I'd probably have to play it safe and leave like around 4:30, maybe. So now I just got to buy time from about 12:30 to 4:30. And can I stay up and just be a hobo at the airport?
Well,
or
you're
whatever?
not really buying time though, because the post fight is going to take at least an hour, and then you probably want to go back to the fighter hotel. That'll take at least
I just don't know if by then
another hour.
I know. I just don't know if by then they'll have shut everything down. Because I'll probably want to have some brews there. And I think Hal had said something about a brewing company. So who knows what? And then from there, just Uber to the airport. Now I thought I was slick. I did this about 20 years ago, and I thought, yeah, I'll just power through. Me and this girl went to Paul Van Dyke. It was a concert in San Diego, and he was playing a late night set. And the first train from San Diego back was at 6 a.m. His set went from like 2 to 4 or something like that, or 12 to 4. So I thought, oh man, from 4 to 6, we just have to kind of hobo around or whatever. And dude, those 4 hours those 2 hours were painful. I remember we were just like this at the train stop, just falling asleep. It was difficult. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to be in that pickle where I just wish I had just paid for my room and have a place to go, take a shower, take a shit, whatever. You know what I mean? But I think I'm just gonna try and wing. Oh, so anyway, so then I go in, and I went, and I fell asleep, man. I was so pissed. So I went in yesterday, and it went up like 150. And it just grinded my gears.
$150 it went up?
Yeah, it went up.
Okay, remember the thing I bought day before?
Yeah.
Had I waited, it went from $106 to $256.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So I was so mad I didn't do. I had my credit card. The only reason I didn't do it the night before is because I didn't have my wallet. I had the laptop on my lap, and I was doing it. I go, where the fuck's my wallet? And I was like, shit, it's over there. And I was in the middle of something. I was talking to Juliet. I forget what it was.
It's over there. And
then next thing you know, I got distracted, and I go, I'll come back and I'll do it. And then I fell asleep, and now this thing's like 150 more. So I still haven't pulled the trigger just because I was pissed, man. Yeah. Anyway, we're up here against the top of the hour. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be back with Ryan Stann.
fellas, y'all ready to do this? Yo, what's up, Dallas? What's up, man? Boys are in effect, yeah, and it's about time. Yo, let's rip this up. Boys to men, boys to men, boys to men. Jet black band, plenty of friends.
And all the states you can
so many weird things about it.
Like in school, we used to dream about this every day.
Why'd you pick it?
I didn't.
Or the dream to fade away.
Did I see?
In
the beginning. For no reason.
All right, here we go, folks. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We hung up the phone with Jack May earlier, PFL heavyweight. Now we're going to be talking to former WEC light heavyweight champion, former UFC veteran, former Fox Sports analyst. He's got a lot of formers there on his titles. He also, remember, served the role with CEO role with Higher Heroes, and former Naval Academy football player and graduate.
It's true.
You know, guy's done a lot, hasn't he? Brian Stann
He's
now has a role.
Always a badass, though.
That's right. Now he has a role with PFL, and it's with the Fighter and Competition and Rules Committee. So that was announced a few days ago, and we're excited to talk to him. What's up, Brian Stann? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, guys. How you doing?
Great, great. Thank you for asking, and thanks for joining us again here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. You're on with George, Goes, and Dan. And excited to see you back in MMA in this capacity here with the PFL.
You know, it's a unique opportunity, and you know, I love the sport. I don't think that's a secret. I always have, and wanted to stay involved in some capacity. But obviously, you know, I needed to transition my career. You know, I loved what I was doing in television, but it really just wasn't suited to you know, my family life, my family goals, and my professional goals. So made that transition, and you know, out of nowhere, a dear friend of mine, George Greenberg, is now an executive with PFL, and an opportunity to serve on one of their boards comes up, and to influence this new league, and discuss how they're going to format their seasons, their playoffs, is really unique, and it's cool. It's a great opportunity to be involved, and you know, be able to influence and make the experience for these athletes better, and allow them an opportunity to make some great money and just have a great career in the sport.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we get into that, just a quick catch-up. Are you still in business school? I think Kellogg is where you were going to go. And
I am. Yeah, I am. I am finishing up next weekend. I will finish up my first year of my executive MBA at University of Northwestern's Kellogg School of Business, and it has been it's been a pretty wild year. I'll just put it to you that way. And I've learned a tremendous amount. My new job has more responsibility than I could have fathomed, and look, man, I'm enjoying it. It's a challenge. I've got great people on board, and we've hired almost 500 people since I started 6 months ago. So my hair's still blown back. I'm having fun, and I'm leading something. I'm building something, which is really what I'm meant to do.
That's right, because you also have a real estate career in conjunction with you going to business school, and now, of course, this role with the PFL. Busy dude over there.
You know what? I would say that, you know, real estate's, it's, you know, when people said that when I first transitioned, people thought like I was going to be a realtor. That's not the case. I'm running a private equity company for Cerberus Capital, one of the biggest private equity firms in the world. And, you know, yes, we are a real estate company that's deployed $1.2 billion in capital in the last 6 months. And so we're a very large company, and we own over 17,000 assets across the country in 23 different cities. So it's a big step up for me, and I'm enjoying it. And I've got some really, really great team members that are on board.
Yep, and I know your plate's full with Kellogg because we have a buddy. Do you remember Mario?
Yeah.
After we went to the World Cup in Germany, he actually enrolled at Kellogg. He did 2 years of business school, and he said it was brutal. It's one of the top business schools in the nation, and so imagine just that, you know, and then on top of what he just told us, which is what's going
Everything
on
else that he does
in
too.
his career is to take this on. Brian, I admire you, man. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you have 29 hours in a day, or I don't know if you have some secret over there or what, but amazing. But you know, as a MMA media member, a former fan before, you know, we got involved in MMA, it's just great to see you back in MMA, and PFL has something pretty special going. Like you mentioned, regular season, playoffs, and then 6 winners taking home $1 million. Come on, that's different. You know what I mean? That's attractive to a fan to see. Wait a minute, hold on a second. NBC Sports, I got to tune in and see how this thing plays out.
Exactly right. And, you know, they've gone out and they've got some really hungry world-class athletes. And they've signed a very solid roster of athletes in a short amount of time. The other unique thing is both the people who are running the company and the investors behind the curtains doing this, they're really, really good people. And that's part of the reason why I agreed to come on board. You know, meeting with them, their minds, their hearts are in the right place to truly build something special, build something unique, and bring a very unique experience to the viewers. And so I'm excited to see this first season unravel and see who can, you know, really adapt how they train and how they fight to be successful in this format, both the regular season and the playoffs. It's you know, it's going to be a paradigm shift for these athletes, and they're all preparing for that now and strategizing how they're going to do it, because it's different than how you would fight in other, you know, so-called promotions, vice this league.
Now, Brian, the release that we got, it said you'll play a major leadership role in the Fighter and Competition and Rules Committee in its efforts to support fighters by developing procedures and making recommendations with respect to competition format and rules, fighter care, and athlete conduct. Of all that was described there in that release, when you have sat down, or when you will sit down, excuse me, what is it? What are the first things that you want to objectives that you want to tackle here in regards to your role? And it sounds like, are you more of like a liaison for the fighters, or are you more on the executive side, or you know, like, are you broaching the two?
I'm a board, you know, I'm an advisory board member, and so I haven't engaged much with the fighters yet, but I've engaged more with the executives of the company, and I'm a resource to them. So as they come up with options and strategize on things, you know, they'll ask me, you know, hey, do you have some time this evening to go through this? Well, typically it'll be late in the hours, and you know, we'll spend an hour talking through some of their ideas, and I'll try to poke holes in it. I'll give them ideas, and I'll also tell them some of the things that I thought were challenging for fighters. If I had it my way, what they would be, and you know, how do we format rules, and how do we make this this format work well, both for the athletes and both for television, so that this league can really prosper and go on to do the special things it's set out to do. And then I think as this season rolls on, then opportunities for you know, this advisory board and this committee that I will lead, for us to make recommendations. You know, we're at the high strategic level, and I think, you know, it'll be, you know, a monthly format of us observing, taking in information that the company provides to us, and then providing recommendations and opinions and approvals on what it is they're doing.
That buddy that I mentioned, he, after his first year, he had to do like an internship, I think he called it, and he was actually like in Puerto Rico and Cuba for 2 months or 6 weeks, and eventually it led to a job with Nike. If you don't mind me asking, with Kellogg, is this part of like an internship maybe that they may have assigned you as well, or did you even get an assignment like he did?
No. This is he went to their regular MBA program, probably their full-time program, and the executive program. You know, I have to study abroad, so I'll study in most likely China, Israel, Germany next year, and you know, I wanted to go into this program to get a job like the one I have. I didn't expect that this opportunity would come about when it did. You know, so I'm in a phenomenal position in a growing company, And, to be one of the top priorities in investments right now for Cerberus Capital is a really big deal. It's a great opportunity to be in as you grow a team and you develop a world-class culture. And so the things I'm learning and doing that are in addition to what I learned as a fighter, as a leader in the mixed martial arts community, are supplementary to what I can bring to the PFL and help them, because what they're really doing is they're building this league and they're building this new brand. They're building this business for the future. And, those are discussions I like to have. I enjoy those strategy sessions, and, to be able to do that on a monthly, quarterly, every couple of weeks basis, it keeps me involved in mixed martial arts. And I'm really pleased to do that because I love this sport. At all levels, I love all these athletes, and I want to see the sport continue to grow and thrive and give these men and women opportunities to make real money and have fruitful careers, vice fighting for 5 to 10 years, taking on a lot of injuries, having some fun, but then really starting what is your real career in your mid-30s or early 40s because you just didn't make enough money to say that was a real career.
Brian, when you first got the call and, you I don't know if you made your decision on the spot or if you thought about it, when you did your research on PFL or spoke with the people from PFL, what was it that stood out? Be it maybe one item or two that about their league that they're doing. It's so much different from the different promotions we usually cover.
Sure. So I went out and met with their investors in the summer, and met with them in Washington D.C. in their corporate office, and I was very, very impressed. I mean, these are brilliant business people, and that was impressive. But also their ability and humility to listen. A lot of times when you meet people who have really done an awful lot in their business careers, they're not necessarily humble and want to listen to your opinion, but they do. Then I met some of the executives in the company. I met Carlos Silva. I've known George Greenberg for some time. These are really good, kind people who care an awful lot about what they do and creating a special league for these fighters. And they really want to be fighter first. And so that mattered to me. It's very tough in this industry to truly be fighter first, right? I mean, you've got to be almost revenue first, right? And it's a tough way to make a living. Being a professional fighter is a very challenging way to make a living. And so having an ability to be part of something to give these athletes another way to make that living and a world-class way to do that is a really cool opportunity for me to, use the skills that I've grown and owe some of those back to martial arts and use those to give back to the sport.
Goes, what do you have for Brian Stann?
Brian, is there one thing you could say that you could point to from business school that's already helped you out in what you're doing now?
Oh, man, I could point to probably 20, to be honest. My knowledge of varsity level finance and business valuation, my ability to read and evaluate financials, my ability to truly understand the role marketing plays in driving revenue and strategy for a business, has grown dramatically. And then more than that, the network of people you get to learn with and develop relationships with. These are all people who are very talented, very bright, but also have tremendous hearts and want and believe that they can make a great impact on the world. And my class is international, from all over the place. And to have those relationships and those friendships is priceless.
What about when it comes to the rules and your interjection with rules? We look at some of the sports, like I know you're familiar with football. Every year, rules change. They kind of get tweaked here and there, and every once in a while you'll go through major ones, like adding the 2-point conversion.
Or the kickoff rules. You see what they did to
that? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
In mixed martial arts, what do you feel like the next 10 years are going to be like? If we look at the rule set, whatever it's going to be in about 10 years, do you think there'll be major changes, or do you think it'll be kind of like some of these other leagues where they're just kind of slight tweaks here and there?
I think there will be slight tweaks in the rules for what you see inside the ring, the cage, whatever you want to call it, whatever the promotion calls it, right? you'll see slight tweaks there. You will see some major changes in the rules outside of that. And what I mean by that is now you have athletic commissions that levy a suspension that is not enforced, right? Fighter can get suspended for 60 days. They can be back in the gym sparring a week later. And that is not a good idea. That is not safe. I think, you've seen some drug testing implemented. I think what you will see is it's only been in one league. I think that you're going to see that implemented across the board. And it's going to continue to refine itself and even be better and continue to be world class. That will be, continue to be a major shift in some of the rules. But I think where you're going to see the biggest will be what you do outside to protect yourself physically. We've seen football go from, when I played football, you hit every damn day. You hit. You wear your pads and you hit. Now, when you look at the NFL or even at college practice, you are not allowed to do that nearly as often. We have just gotten smarter. And so, I think that you get a lot of these gyms across the country and you get, this sport is young. You've got maybe 10 really experienced coaches and you've got maybe 10 other ones who are moderately experienced, and you've got the rest that are kind of just playing jazz, figuring it out as they go. And they don't know a whole lot about how to peak an athlete, how to train properly. I certainly did not train properly when I did it. I trained way too hard. Way too hard. It was stupid. You would think I was getting paid to spar. And so I think those are the way you're going to see the most major changes, because athletes are going to realize, wait a minute, it is really important for me to show up on competition day, peak, and at max shape, and ready to put forth maximum performance. You don't get there by crushing yourself for 8 straight weeks and showing up to a fight, which is really what a lot of us have done for the last several years.
Dan Tom, our fight analyst, what you have for Brian Stann?
Hey, Brian, I just want to say, kind of backtracking a bit, but tying into what we're talking about here, obviously people are really familiar with you for the UFC, and as somebody who has to kind of do the week-to-week of breaking down footage on the regular and breaking down these fights, hearing your voice almost feels like cheat codes. I just got to tell you, by the way, I almost feel like I got to turn the volume down sometimes because you do such a great job, is what I'm trying to say, Brian. As far as you can tell that you've done the research, not just that you have this great experience that you bring to all these careers, but you really are a guy that doesn't cut corners, and I think that's why everybody kind of loves and embraces you. So let me just cut the compliment short and ask you the question here. Was there anything? What was your biggest challenge in that run? Because you were working where the UFC stepped up their schedule and there was a bunch of shows. So what was your biggest challenge of the prep work during that run? And was the key that got you through it? Was any of those tools that you use, any of that stuff, were you able to carry it over to the multiple plates that you're spinning now that you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge I faced in doing the research and doing the prep work was finding the time, right? Because at the time I was running a company, I was running Higher Heroes USA. I had a wife and 3 kids, and so I had to find the time when I could really put in the hours to analyze those fights. And that was the biggest challenge in terms of the prep. I loved doing it. I really enjoy it. I could sit down and I could watch hours of martial arts on it, and I could break it down, and I love talking to the athletes and the coaches and talking about how did you get this athlete to evolve from this to this? What was the, because it's one thing to teach someone a technique. It's totally different to get their mind triggered the right way, to get them to change the way they fight. And I love diving into that as well and trying to describe that for the fans. The real challenge to do all that was the balance at home. And if I have any regrets in all of that, is, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done as much, and I know this isn't really the show to talk about it, but I mean, it's just, that was the real challenge for me, because you got to say no to something to say yes to something else. And so, I love that, and that all carries over. If you're a person with a great attitude and a great work ethic, I can teach you to do anything in the world, anything, right? If you don't have a great attitude, you could be extremely competent and intelligent. You could be super smart, you could be super talented, charismatic, you could have all of that. If you don't have a great attitude, you're not going to be great. Or if you don't have a great work ethic, you're not going to be great. I've seen, people that aren't smart, that aren't charismatic, but they've got great attitude and they've got great work ethic, and people like I don't care. You always want them on your team. You always want to be around them because they lift you up. They don't pull you down. And that's what I strive to be every day. And that's what I hope to be every day. And there are plenty of days where I fail at that. But every day you remind yourself to do that. And that was the key for me. You know, if it was 11 o'clock at night, my family's in bed, now is the time that I have to get this work done. I'm not going to sit here and whine about it because I had a job people would have loved to have had. Loved to have had. To do that, and I really enjoyed it. You know, if I've got to sacrifice a couple hours of sleep and be a little tired the next day, so be it. You know, I'm very lucky. And, you know, a really, really brilliant man said to me not too long ago, actually, you know, just a couple of days ago, he said, right now, there are men and women far better than me, right now, that are somewhere that all they're trying to do right now is find food for their kids. They're smarter than me, they're better than me, but they've had no opportunity, and all they're trying to do is find food for their kids. And that's true. That's real. I've been to places like that. And so when times are tough, or, you know, you think, well, I don't have the time to do this, or I'm stressed, or this is too much, or I'm overworked, you got to realize, you know, the relevance of our problems in comparison to people who have real problems in the world.
That's great to hear. I sentiment that more than you know, but thank you for that. But one more follow-up on that. Something you said earlier about feeling like you kind of have almost a duty as well. And I think that came across with your commentary. I think that comes across with obviously your job now, where you speak of having a duty to the fighters. Now, I never served in the military, but I came from a military family. And when you came on the scene, obviously that was a big storyline with you. And I guess what I'm getting at here is feeling that duty. Is that something that even goes past your prior experience to martial arts? For example, people might not be aware of the stereotype that I'm about to throw out here, but you know, in movies they'll stereotype military, that they'll maybe make the officer look a little arrogant. They'll have the troops, which are the heart of the group that you're kind of following. And then there'll be that sergeant major character, and he's usually the stereotypical bridge, right? He has some say as far as the high up decisions that kind of you're talking about, where you're being involved in now. But he also has his ear to the grindstone because he knows what it's like to be a troop. Is that kind of how you've kind of always looked at yourself, from the military to your UFC to your post UFC and your business career?
Yeah, you know, I think it's, you know, there's always a sense of duty involved, and I think going to an institution like the Naval Academy for college, where it's really a leadership factor. You spend 4 years studying some of the hardest subjects in the world, but you also spend 4 years learning about leadership and really starting the foundation to a lifetime learning of leadership. And I still study it every day as I try to be better. And part of leadership is, you know, really, you want to be a selfless leader, and you lead to help the people that follow you thrive. You don't lead to reap the benefits of leadership, right, to be made to look good. You lead to empower them to accomplish broad missions, broad mandates, complicated strategies, and by fostering an atmosphere where they can be successful. And there is a lot of sense of duty in that I take everywhere. And I, you know, more importantly than work, I try to bring that to my family every day. The strongest sense of duty I have right now is to be a father to my 3 little girls. I mean, that is, of all the titles I've ever had, you form of this, form of that, honestly, and I say this to my daughters all the time, the thing I love to be called more than anything in the world is daddy. When my girls say daddy, every single time, I never get used to that. Every single time, it warms my heart, and it's just such an awesome thing. And that's my dream. You know, everything I do, you know, I like to do it, and I do it to the best of my ability, but ultimately I'm doing that because I want to provide for them. If I had the choice to do anything in the world right now, it would be to be on my floor playing with my girls, period.
Wow, Bran, thank you very much, man, for sharing all that. And let me just say, it's great to have you back in MMA in any capacity. Even though it was less than a year, you were definitely missed. And let me just say, your work ethic is very inspiring to many people, like John Stauffer from Fox Sports, Megan O'Leary, John Anik. They've always circled back and stated you just raised the level of preparation and for all of them. So I just wanted to pass that on. And thank you for sharing some time from your busy schedule with us today here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Anytime, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Have a great one.
All right, you too. All right, folks. Follow him on Twitter, @BrianStann. Let him know you heard him on the @MMA Junkie Radio Show. Solid dude, man. As solid as they come. Yeah. All right, you know what? Let's take a break here. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back with Bilal Mohammed, UFC welterweight.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Big thanks to Greg Savage for lining up the Brian Stann interview. Now moving on to our last guest of the day and our last guest of the week. His name is Bilal Mohammed. He's 13-2 overall. Fights in the UFC. He has a fight coming up at UFC Fight Night 131 versus Chance Rincontre. Chance is 12-2. These are welterweights, and Bilal is riding a 3-fight win streak. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Bilal? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Joe? How you doing?
Good, my man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. I also got Goes and Dan here with me, and excited to talk to you. And they were telling me, because I pointed out to them that your fight camp is happening here as you observe Ramadan, but they were telling me this has actually happened in previous camps as well. So much respect, man. I know that's not easy. From sun up till sundown, you can't consume water or any form of nutrition, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. But I did it, like, literally ahead of my last two camps. I did it for my main fight the whole time, and then the Joe Bannon fight before that. So it's one of those where I'm already used to it by now. And like they say, man, a hungry lion is scarier than a full lion. So I'm going to come in there hungry. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Bilal, like, is this something that's more mental than anything, or do you have to adjust, like, and do, like, late night training or early morning training on your end?
Honestly, I've been sticking with the same routine, the same practice routine, same time. It's just all mental, man. It's just like pushing through it. It's basically seeing how far you can push yourself, man. Like, people don't really know how far they can push their body until they actually do it, man. You got to get out of your comfort zone. And after the first couple of days of fasting, my body gets used to it, honestly. And I just got to make sure I'm having the right stuff when the sun is down, like the right fluids inside of me, the right things to drink. I'm basically doing it like a weight cut every time. So right after I'm done, right when it's time to eat, I'm drinking like a whole Pedialyte, having a good amount of fruit, everything that's going to be. I have to make sure my nutrition's on point more importantly than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just fast forwarding here till weigh-in day, and the new rules will actually benefit you because you'll probably already go to bed on weight, right? So by the time you wake up, it won't really matter. I think the first thing you'll just be doing is weighing in.
Yeah, exactly. It works out perfectly for me. Like I said, I don't really cut a lot of weight anyway, so I'll just be on point and go to bed normally.
Bilal Mohammed, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's fighting again here in a couple weeks, June 1st to be exact. So we're about a little under a week away versus Chance Rincontre, who is they had an opponent switch here a few days ago. Did that bother you too much, or at this point in time, or have you seen it all, Bilal?
No, I've had so many pullouts in my career. It's just, like I said, it's all mental, man. It's just pushing through it. Like, I feel like I'm good enough to go with anybody in the world. So, I mean, if I think I'm good enough to fight anybody in the world, I gotta take these fights whenever they come. Mm-hmm. And I know they pulled out Nico, and then they gave me this guy. So, and it's one of those where I train with a lot of good guys. So I get a lot of good looks in the gym, different looks all the time. So it's not one of those things that's going to surprise me anything till then.
Mm-hmm. All right, Goes, what do you have for Bilal Mohammed?
Bilal, going back really quick, I have heard you speak about fighting during Ramadan and all that, but you're very calm when you talk about it, and all your descriptions make a lot of sense. But the one thing that kind of stands out for me is it almost seems like, not that you would prefer it, but that you got it so much down to a science that it's just not as hard as people make it out to be. This is, I believe, is your fourth time, I want to say, going through this, or third time. Is any of that true?
Yeah, exactly, man. Honestly, like I said before, like, it gives me something else to concentrate on. The month of Ramadan is supposed to be where you're concentrating a lot on your religion. You just like you want to better yourself in general as a person. So if I'm sitting there trying to think of ways to better myself, ways to make myself better as a person, then I don't have to sit there and stress about the fight, stress about an opponent, thinking about my opponent all day and night, having to watch video on him. I'm sitting there trying to strengthen my spiritualness. So it's not like I don't have to go through the whole stress and the anxiety of fight week or anything like that, man. Because I feel like I'm a lot calmer during this month.
You know, a win here puts you at 4 straight, and streaks are very hard to come by in the UFC. what kind of opponent would you want after this? Like, where do you think a win can put you?
Honestly, I feel like a win could put me against somebody in the rankings. But nowadays, none of these ranked fighters want to fight. So honestly, to me, I'm more than willing to fight anybody. So I'm hoping one of these guys will finally, accept the fight. But if it's the same way where all these guys, I don't want to fight down, then I'm literally just going to take whoever they put in front of me.
All right, our fight analyst Dan Tom's here with us as well. Dan, what do you have for Bilal Mohammed?
Hey, what's up, Bilal? Speaking of, maybe not so much calling out, maybe not your style, but I do remember, on a post-fight interview, you having some words for Colby Covington. Obviously, a lot of fellow welterweights have those words, but more specifically in that post-fight, you were speaking more toward bullying, which obviously is a part of your nickname as well. But can you speak more on that? Is that something that for example, a lot of great fighters like George St. Pierre, when they see someone using bully tactics, it kind of triggers something within them, almost beyond the fight game. Is that same with you, Bilal?
Okay, I worked in a gym a lot, and I've dealt with a bunch of little kids, and I used to be a trainer, so I've had a lot of little kids go up to me and tell me they've been bullied, or the reason why they're in the gym is because they're always going through bullying and stuff like that. So then when I see an athlete, somebody that's supposed to hold himself to a higher standard, especially with him if he's close to even getting a title shot, just do the things that he does, be as ignorant as he is, and talk trash about the countries or just people in general, just to try to get maybe followers or something like that. But it's honestly it's too fake for me. When I see him when you see him in public, or you see him in a hotel in live, he's nothing like that. He's one of those guys that he's looking around when he comes out of the elevator, making sure there's nobody that he insulted around before he walks out of the hallway. If you're going to be a tough guy, be a tough guy. Walk with your chin up high, no matter who's next to you. That's what Conor McGregor does. Conor McGregor's not the type of guy who'll sit down, look in the elevator, make sure there's nobody around, then he'll go get some water or something like that. I seen him in the hotel in Australia, and he knew all the Brazilians were there. He was literally like a scared little kid before he walked into the hallway. I'm like, this guy's so much of a fake act. It's like ridiculous.
Speaking of Colby, and maybe trying to put that aside, which can be hard, but I'm curious to hear a breakdown from you, Bilal, because when I was first studying your footage, like even just going back to your Joban fight, of course, I was impressed with you as a fighter previously, but listening to interviews, I was really impressed with, kind of like Go said, how you speak about things, how you break things down, and I think that translates into your style too. You're very well rounded in that sense. So let me ask you, it is your division. Colby Covington is fighting for an interim title against Rafael Dos Anjos. How do you see that fight going? What's your breakdown on that, Bilal?
Honestly, I see it go. I can go either two ways. You go one way where it's Colby just shooting in and holding him down, or making it a boring wrestling match. I feel like he's going to be a lot bigger than Dos Anjos. I've seen Dos Anjos in person, and he's a real small guy. So I can see Colby going in there and out wrestling him, making it a straight wrestling match, and just making a boring lane play. But if Dos Anjos comes out strong with good takedown defense, I feel like he'll just piece him up on his feet pretty easily, because Colby doesn't have the striking, or nowhere near the striking as Dos Anjos. But people are counting him out, saying that Dos Anjos is going to go in there and kill him. But Colby does have that wrestling background where he could make the fight that type of fight, that boring fight where he's going to hold him down, take him down 20 times in a round or something like that.
Bilal, I want to ask you one last thing. If we can come back to your religion, there's billions of Muslims out there in the world, and I know that a lot of people are familiar with what we were talking about Ramadan, because Habib is he's always stressed that he doesn't want to train through Ramadan. Is there differences between the Islam, I guess, that he worships and the one that you do? Because you're of Palestinian roots, and he's Dagestani,
yeah.
And I know Muslim transcends different countries and cultures, but is it all the same for everybody?
Yeah, the religion is still the same for everybody, no matter where they're coming from.
Okay.
I feel like more so his is just because I feel like he's a big weight cutter, so I feel like it'll be a lot harder for him to stay clean throughout the whole month. Because when it's time to eat, you want to just put whatever you can inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, I'm already light anyway, so I don't really have to cut a lot of weight, so it makes it easier for me to do it. But I know for like guys like him or guys that cut a lot of weight, it'll be a lot harder for them to do it. Like if I had to cut 30, 40 pounds, I wouldn't be able to do it, just because my body wouldn't be able to push through that. But for guys like him, I feel like that cut a lot of weight, they won't have the energy to be able to train during it or even fight week or anything like that.
And any of the religious officials from your religion, do they respect what you're doing? They have no problem with you working while this, this is the holiest. I believe this is the holiest month for you guys. So does anybody ever present a problem or any resistance towards you working, because that's what you're doing by training and fighting during Ramadan?
No, I've never had anybody come at me in any way. And I mean, like it's different around the world too. Like you see, if you guys watch soccer, Mohammed Salah, he's one of the biggest stars people, and he's actually fasting during the championship game. So he's going to still be fasting during the whole game. So
that's right. Yeah, he'll be playing in the Champions League tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
exactly.
Are you the only Palestinian fighter in the UFC?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm the only Palestinian inside the UFC. Yeah,
because I think the only one I can remember is Ramsey Nijum, if I'm not mistaken. He's no longer with the UFC. As far as goes, your
I thought isn't Benil Dariush?
No, he's I think
he's Iranian.
Yep, Iranian. He's Iranian.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, you're the only one then, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your upbringing, your roots as a Palestinian, and did it in any way, I guess, guide you towards this type of a career just because of, what you believing and like what Dan was saying earlier, you weren't just going to stand there and watch somebody else get hurt, you know what I mean? You've always been somebody that's protected others.
Yeah, I mean, my upbringing is basically the same as most other guys. I was just an athlete when I was younger, and just working my way up. And I feel like my fighting spirit, that's what I get from Palestine. I feel like my people are sitting there fighting every day for their lives, and I feel like that's a big motivational factor for me, where I get motivated by seeing them, what they're going through every day, and it just puts me in that mode, in the zone, that I know that what I'm going through is nothing compared to what they're going through every single day as they're in war every day. So I know that nothing I'm going to do is going to hurt me as much as what's happening to them. Like, this is all a game to me. This is literally a fun fist fight when people over there are dying every day. So just that type of thing just motivates me and pushes me to another level.
And lastly, did you ever come close to being on the Chicago card? I know that would have been like a homecoming for you, and it being so close, was that in any way, did you pitch that to them when they came to you for this fight in New York, or is that something that didn't matter to you as much?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be on the Chicago card, but yeah, they just came and said, like my manager texted me, how bad do you want to be on the Chicago card, because they're offering you the Utica card, and I said, honestly, it really doesn't matter, because like at first when I thought I was going to be on the Chicago card, I was getting so many texts, so many calls from people like, hey, tell you a few tickets, I get this. What are you going to eat before the fight? And I'm like, I'm not even on the card yet. And I got so many people coming at me trying to be with me that week. And I don't like to be that type of guy where I'm going to tell people no. But like fight week, I'd rather just, I'm all in my head, so I'm all by myself. And I'd rather just not have to deal with all that stress of having to get people tickets or make sure everybody's inside or everybody that wants to come and see me before the fight. I feel like it worked out perfectly, honestly, that I was beautiful, because if people want to see me, they're going to have to take a little trip.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see how big of a fan you are now. And then the following week, you can actually just sit back and enjoy it like a fan. I'm sure you'll be there in Chicago as well.
Yeah, exactly. I got 2 teammates in the car, so it would be cool. Sit there with a W.
All right, brother. Hey, it's great catching up with you. I hope you have a safe camp, whatever's left of it, and it's probably you may in fact already be done, and also safe travels to Utica, New York, and we'll definitely be tuning in on June 1st.
Appreciate it.
All right, take care. We'll see you. All right, there you have it. Big shout out to the Dominance team, Puna, Dan, Ali for making that one happen. And we're going to take our last break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Tells Luke he's his father. What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here George and goes.
U2 is playing a private show for SiriusXM subscribers at Harlem's world-famous Apollo Theater, and we have your chance to be there. One grand prize winner will win a trip for two to New York and tickets to this very special show at the Apollo on June 11th. Official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/U2. Do that before June 4th. No additional purchase is necessary to enter or win. Producer Danny has also stated he will take you out to lunch the night prior to that event.
I thought we already touched on this subject. Producer Danny does not have.
Oh, is it breakfast or lunch? It's neither.
Are you paying for it? If you're paying for it, I'll go. Snack. Lunchable. I'll buy a Lunchable. I'll treat to a Lunchable.
All right.
I see lunch in a shoulder rub. I don't know what you guys are reading on the copy, but all right.
Massage.
All right, let's do the daily debate for today. It's the last one of the week here. Here's the question, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Now that George St. Pierre has ruled out Nate Diaz as a possible opponent, who would you like to see GSP fight if he returns to the UFC? You have four choices: Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Tyron Woodley, or other. Dan Tom?
Mine would have been Tyron Woodley. I think it would have been a good fight for the division, especially if you're going to talk about maybe doing the 165, 175. What better final fight than the current sitting champion Tyron Woodley versus the greatest champion George St. Pierre? But with the interim title up for grabs between RDA and Colby Covington, that'll just mucky up that division further. I don't want him anywhere near lightweight. That's got enough clout, so I'm going to vote for other.
Goes?
I was going exactly the same route as Dan until he said other. I'm going to say I think it's inevitable. I think he's going to fight Conor McGregor. I'm with you. I don't want to see him anywhere near 155. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. And then Tyron Woodley, yeah, it would be fun, I guess, but I just don't know that it's going to satisfy George what he's really trying to do. I think eventually with the things that Conor's done in the sport, he's going to start to get talked about as one of the, in the public's eyes, one of the greatest fighters at all that ever lived, right? If you listen to people on ESPN and all that. So I think that would be a good skin on his wall. So I'd go with Conor McGregor.
What are the other things he's trying to do that you're implying?
What's that?
You said GSP. Woodley wouldn't be a good fit with the other things he's trying to do.
Because he's already been the top welterweight, right? So he's already accomplished that.
Okay, all right. And fill in the blank, who would be your other?
You know, a wild card matchup, somebody that didn't interfere division. Maybe even a Ben Askren. You know, that was one of the names I suggested when I wrote this article a couple months ago. As far as George St. Pierre's potential opponents, he was one of the ones I mentioned. You could bring him in there. It wouldn't cost much. You would promote the fight. It's an excuse to put a Canadian show. You're going to sell, get numbers, favor a market, close some old business. No titles are at stake. Nobody gets hurt.
Okay, I like it. So I'm going to go with, if it was my choice, Tyron Woodley, and I like what Dan said, the greatest welterweight champion ever versus the current welterweight, and we would retire 170 that night and create 65 and 75. But since the last name that comes out of GSP's mouth is Tyron Woodley, I can tell he doesn't want it. It could be because of what Goes said. Hey, I already did that. I don't have to fight this guy to prove I'm the greatest. So if he's looking for something new and something new to do, and I don't want to see him at 155. If 85 jacked him up by eating more, imagine what 55 is going to do to him. I would rather see, again, if they're going to create 165, him versus Khabib at 165. Because that, I believe, I guess is what I was getting to with what did you think he strives to do. And that, I believe it's a multiple weight class champion. So imagine being the 165-pound champ, whatever they decide to call it, maybe junior welterweight, a former welterweight champ and a former middleweight champ. That right there is the exclamation point on GOAT if it happens. Now, if it happens, though, that means Khabib would be already going for a second title if he keeps 55. But if he doesn't, then he'd have to relinquish 55 and free that up yet again for the other ones that are chasing it, which may make sense only because of the weight cut and how difficult it's been for him. But he has made weight the last two. I don't want to take that away from him. And now we are going into fantasy land perhaps, but I figured I'd try and cover it all. So, again, back to Tyron Woodley to answer the question. But if not, Khabib Nurmagomedov at 165 if I had my choice. There you have it. That's today's breakdown brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio crew. And thank you to the 1,861 that voted. It was really, really close. Khabib got 33%. Conor got 32%. Tyron got 28%. 7% went to other. All right, let's finish up here with a couple calls. You guys okay with a little bit of OT?
Yeah, very little, though. I got a jet right after.
Okay, let's start with Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime?
Hey.
It's your time.
Hey, fellas. Hey, just thought I'd call in, man, and tell you guys, Junkie Nation, I'm okay, man, and thanks for all the kind words, brothers.
Very cool. I'm not sure if you ever go back and listen to the shows that you may have missed, but I was reading off a few messages from Junkie Nation to you, and we plugged your Twitter once we got the correct one. So maybe take a peek. I'm sure a lot of junkies are going to continue to reach out to you, Showtime, in this difficult time that you're going through.
Man, Junkie Nation has been amazing, man, with all the text messages, the inboxes, some phone calls, man, and that means a lot, man. Like I said before when I talked to you guys, a lot of times if I'm not necessarily calling in, I'm still listening to you guys because, this is the part of the day, the couple hours that the show is going on, man. I can just, kind of get my mind away from everything. And I was real excited this weekend with all the fights going on, like the other MMA fights going on tonight, Bellator, then the card Sunday. When I'm watching that, man, that can just get my mind away from the reality of what I'm dealing with and just focus on some other stuff for a couple hours. So I most definitely appreciate it, guys.
Well, I'm gonna give you an uncomfortable bro hug when next time you come here in person, regardless of how you're doing, Showtime. So no getting out of that, man. and that means a lot, for all of us, obviously, to hear. But yeah, man, it really does mean a lot, and just to hear and see other members of Junkie Nation, touched me just as much, just seeing that, and showing their care and showing their support. So shout out to Junkie Nation as well. What Showtime's saying.
Our lines are always open, man. Anytime you need us.
Yes, that's true. Personal lines as well, Showtime. Feel free to light that up anytime, man.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to jump off, and I'll see you guys out there International Fight Week, man. I need that week vacation bad, man. So I'll see you guys then.
Okay,
sounds
Showtime.
good.
Take care. God bless. All right, we are going to do just a couple minutes of overtime. SiriusXM audience, we will see you all on Monday with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. Remember, if you missed any part of the show or the whole show, if you ever want to go back, download the SiriusXM app, and you can check out the show, commercial-free and in HD quality. That, along with Busted Open, At the Fights, the Luke Thomas Show, MMA Tonight, all the content we have on the fabulous SiriusXM Rush 93. Congratulations to Access TV. Tonight will be their 400th show, and a lot of history there. And we did a recap there with Andrew Simon, their CEO. It's on the front page of Junkie, but he was here co-hosting with us, just going back through all the promotions that they've ever covered. Amazing what they have done for the sport. All right, we're going to bow out here. We'll be back in about 15 seconds with some overtime. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93.
Crashing almost holes down the drain. People, Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun.
You guys clear for overtime.
What's up, Aaron from Texas?
Guys, how are you?
Good, and you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad you brought up L50, and it's going to be a fun little night tonight, bump actually. So,
are you reffing tonight?
Huh?
Are you reffing tonight?
From the submarine.
I don't think I'm allowed to say what I'm doing, but let's just say I'll be there. How about that? Is that fair?
Okay, cool.
Sounds like he's in DEFCON 4.
Yeah,
right
it does sound like you're in a submarine right now.
No, I just, hey, look, man, you don't want to, you don't want to say it's been fun night tonight, I mean.
No, I know that. I know you can't say anything. I'm just saying your connection, it does sound like you're in a submarine right now. But I know you're part of that Samsung bullshit family and them phones that blow up in people's ears. Unlike the iPhones always come out crystal clear, especially that iPhone 10 or iPhone.
We get it. It's laying on a table right now. You're probably behind the couch just in case.
Just in case it blows up, right? Got to talk.
Exactly. Yes. George goes. Do you guys? Any of y'all have an iPhone 10?
No.
Not yet.
Should we get one?
Not yet. You just wait. I'm gonna get one.
Well, entertain you guys a little bit. The display on the iPhone 10 is made by Samsung, so effectively when you buy Apple, you still buy Samsung. So, but we're really got alone for now.
Hey, give us that part. As long as you don't give us the explosive part, we're good.
Yeah, we didn't ask for that option.
Yes. All right, guys. Main reason why I'm calling, it's not OFA. It's you guys remember this time last year, 1 year ago, little lady Veronica Lopez said yes, and we got married. It's been 1 year married. I know you guys are probably like, well, it's been 1 year. Yes, it has been 1 year, and as much as I brought up in the show, I haven't called much in lately, but as much as I brought up in the past, when we were dating, engaged, when we got married, I figured I need to say something to her so that way she can hear it when she listens later on tonight, just how much I love her and how much I care for her and how much I'm so glad that the Junkie family, everybody listening, everybody calls in, people who've met her, you, Dan, Tom, obviously, you, George Goes, Danny as well. You guys have brought her into this awesome family we are, and we look forward to seeing you guys out in October when the next gathering occurs. So high water will be there.
Yeah, man, she's super cool.
Just wanted to get that out.
She's super cool, really, really beautiful, very nice, so fun, so much fun to hang out with. And you're right, it has been a year since then. So congratulations to you both. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you guys, Muzzle Talk. You guys have a safe Memorial weekend, all right?
All right, take care.
You too, buddy.
See you. All right. Any final words? Bellator's happening now, so no spoilers, right? You don't want to hear any spoilers?
Nah.
Right, and then Sunday is the fight card in Liverpool. Monday we will be here, even though it's a national holiday, it's Memorial Day. We will be here to recap both fight cards and preview NHL. I guess we have an opponent now, the Capitals versus the Vegas Golden Knights. We may have mentioned that before. How about the Rockets? They got a 3-2 lead over the Warriors. But Chris Paul hurt his hamstring. Reminds me of the Lakers, who had a repeat going. They were chasing a three-peat, and then Byron Scott and Magic Johnson both hurt their hamstrings. So that was our starting backcourt against Detroit, which by then was so hungry because they had been bounced out of the playoffs for so many years, and it just wasn't going to be enough. So this one could hurt them, man. I don't know. The Warriors are obviously an amazing team, but you know, the Rockets have to have Chris Paul. He's one of their best defenders, as well as the supplemental number 2 to the bearded dude. What's his name? James Harden. James Harden. Yeah. And then the Celtics are up 3-0 on
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, on Cleveland, and they're not trying to hear what I'm saying right now about Chris Paul being out, because they haven't had Gordon Hayward and their point guard Kyrie Irving. They haven't had them for months. I mean, it's Gordon the whole season, and they're getting it done 3-2, man. So it could be really, really interesting come Monday, whatever pans out.
I would say don't make very many plans. There's a lot of good sports. There's Bipolar Rock and Roller.
Yep.
There's LFA. There's Bellator. You got UFC on Sunday. Yeah. Don't make plans.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, if you're listening to the show on delay and you're here to listen on Saturday, you should probably go over to MMA Junkie, because on Saturday, tomorrow, if you're listening live, that's when my breakdown and betting articles should be hitting. Like I said, it was a little bit of a crazy week, but we had a little bit of a breakdown pre-show. And I'll get you some more of what I'm liking. Just keep it tuned to Junkie if you want to know.
What about Protect Your Neck? When's it dropping?
Oh, boy. That probably won't be dropping actually till tomorrow morning / late tonight. I usually do that like right after my betting article is done. Then I go and do my run through. But, yeah, you can go ahead and search iTunes, or just, find me at Dan Tom MMA, which is, on Twitter, where we're located at MMA Junkie Radio.
Gotcha. All right. I want to thank all of our guests for this week. And I didn't do it for the last 2 weeks, so I'll just do a slow rundown of who we had the last few weeks as we exit here. Thank you to Vanderlei Silva, Fernanda Prates, Leandro Lorenco, Joseph Benavidez, Matt Schnell, Lance Palmer, Bryce Mitchell, Aljamain Sterling, Stitch Duran, Ben Folks, Charles Rosa, Cody Stamen, Gerald Harris, Micah Fromowitz, Dan Henderson, Misha Tate, Mauro Ronaldo, Andre Harrison, Sean O'Connell, Czech Congo, Michael Page, Mike Trezano, Julian Marquez, Eric Anders, Andrew Simon, Tan Lee, Macy Barber, Roy Nelson, Vince Pichel, Jake Ellenberger, Dave Terrell, George Satropoulos, Mike Dolce, Marsad Bektik, Ricky Steele, Dennis Davis, Jack May, Brian Stann, and Bilal Mohammed. There you have it. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day. Please be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy your family time, barbecues, and definitely want to honor those that have fought for our country and served our country. That is what Memorial Day is all about. All right, keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. We have our writers all over the world covering the sport for you, and the ones at home, they'll be busting ass in support. We will see you all on Monday with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Danny and Dan and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice weekend. Go out there and be a champion.